Here's the picture that I've captured for this week's discussion on the topic of sustainability. For my Ike/kilos, I've observed that one, of course, the sun is setting and it's very beautiful. But this picture was taken along the main highway in Waianae on Farrington Highway coming in front of the Waianae Coast Comprehensive. And there's power lines running across the bridge area. This matters to me because, we're all on one single grid, and because electric is monopolized by HECO, if one of our power lines were to snap or like one of our power poles were to go down, then a lot of society, especially on the west side, would be losing accessibility to their power sources. And another thing is the beach is actually just a step off from the main road. When you look further into the background, there's a very long wall built in the area where the water would just begin to slightly drop off into the deep end. And there's also 2 people fishing on that wall, making great use of it. And it's also notable that the roads in Waianae are only one way in and one way out. So therefore, this is our only means of transportation to get to places like town, maybe like Walmart or even Costco's if we need to buy in bulk, or just areas in general that contain or have resources that would allow us to get to food or batteries or other things if we weren't thinking of shopping within our local grocery stores. But as for my hana, when I think deeper about what's going on in this picture and what's going on behind it, the wall is actually the remains of a loko'ia, which is an ancient Hawaiian fish pond. The picture doesn't show this, but if you were to turn around in the opposite direction, there's a large canal that used to have the water from the mountains or just the freshwater streams run into the ocean where the loko'ia is. But now that canal is all dried up because the fresh water is being diverted. So with that in mind, let's talk about the ahupua'a system and the loko'ia. So the fish in the loko'ia are herbivorous, and that's because, of course, we don't want the fish eating each other, and we would also like the fish to be easily accessible for when we need them. But back in the day, ancient Hawaiians understood this process very well, and they knew that these fish needed to eat and feed on algae and moss in order to grow and live. So the water that came down from the stream in the ahupua'a system would be going through like their kalo patches and like their lo'is, and it would contain all of this nutrient-rich water from all of the soil and the kalo, and it would eventually run down into the loko'ia, mixing with the ocean water, the salt water, and creating brackish water, which were the perfect growing conditions for algae and mosses. And this would feed the fish, and the fish would thrive. And eventually the fish would be too big to exit the fish pond, and you'd catch it and eat those. And this is relatable to sustainability goals because, like in goal 2, it could help reduce hunger or even achieve zero hunger. If managed correctly, loko'ias could become a stable source of food for the community if we were to apply them in the modern day. And goal 2, which is responsible consumption and production, ensures that you're not eating the fish too young in the loko'ia, because if they weren't fat enough, they wouldn't be able to leave the pond, meaning that they just weren't ready to eat. And it also helps prevent overfishing because you would only take what you need. It would also help combat consumerism and mass production of goods because, we already have all that we need right in front of us. So maybe these things could help our society grow and maybe become self-sustainable once again, and our communities would be able to thrive and have food and have all the resources that they need without worrying. So if we were able to take back control of our natural resources and divert the fresh water back on the track that it originally ran and put effort into repairing our ancient loko'ias, maybe we would be able to sustain our community ourselves. But yes, that is my sustainability discussion for this week.